Hi. I wanted to post this video response to your video just because it moved me, and I feel that I should put a voice and a face to my comments and not just be another one of the faceless, nameless drive-by commenters on the web. I originally found you because I was looking up gardening techniques, and I found your video about using the 2-liter bottles, which, by the way, genius, fabulous. I plan on using it this weekend, so kudos, that was great. But I wanted to, because I was so moved by the video, I wanted to know more about you, and I looked up to find more of your videos, and this video was the one that caught my eye, and so I watched it. And I felt for you. Not in feeling sorry, but feeling a kinship with you. So, here's my response. How does a person prove that they're not a racist? Notice that I didn't say a white person, because I don't think that bigotry and racism is strictly a white issue. I think it is a human issue, and it was an issue that's disturbed me since I was a very small child. I've never understood people making judgments about a people based on surface things without knowing individuals. I think there's enough proof in the world that it's not just a white and black thing or a black and white thing. It can be white against white. Think of Bosnia. It can be black against black. Think of Rwanda. I was even amazed that it can be Hispanic against Hispanic. When I lived in New Mexico, to find that there were New Mexicans that would call Mexicans wetbacks. And I'm like, really? How do you know anything about these people? You mentioned the hard times of your family, where your roots came from, the Irish ancestry that came here, and they were sharecroppers, and they were done dirty by the farm owner. And what I say to that is, and because that is an argument that I have heard, I'm not saying this is what you're saying, I've just heard it used as an argument by some white people to say slavery is no different from the hard times of my sharecropping ancestors. And I have to say, when I get to have the conversation, there's a big world of difference. While sharecropping was very difficult, and while sharecropping could be with a very bad farm owner that took everything and didn't deal straightforward, there were also farm owners that did deal straightforward with the people that they sharecropped with. The difference between sharecropping and slavery is this: your Irish ancestors made a business deal with this farm owner. It was a bad deal, totally get that, but it started out with a handshake deal. With slavery, that is not the case. My ancestors did not get to strike a handshake deal and say, I willingly signed myself up into slavery. Sharecropping, again, could be a very dirty deal, but no matter how much the sharecroppers might have owned to the landowner, he did not have a legal right to take any member of that family and then sell them to someone else as a way to recoup what he called his debt. With my ancestors, that was a very common occurrence, as if a person ran a dog breeding service, and every few months or so would have a litter of puppies that they would then sell for a profit. That is how my ancestors were sold and families were split. Now, am I saying that I need to beat this drum to death in 2009? No. But I do want there to be understanding that there's a difference. And that's where this all really comes down to, is about understanding where another group might come from. I can issue a lot of understanding of where it sounds like you're coming from, and that's why I feel for you. I can allow myself to feel a different position from my own. What I totally hate that still happens in 2009 is that a group, doesn't have to be based on skin color, just a group, can denounce another group and say, well, if you're part of that group, you must just be, you can't have any sense, you must not be thinking. When people do that to each other, when they just think they know a group and therefore they need to know nothing else about them, it just fosters more ignorance and bigotry and intolerance, and it stops any dialogue from happening. And the funny thing about dialogue is, if you actually sit down and talk with someone, even if they have a completely different viewpoint from your own, I found that when I can sit and actually have a dialogue with someone that, talking about viewpoints, we actually, even though we might not ever agree, we can at least understand where each other comes from. So what I say to you is this: especially on the faceless, nameless internet, if people are calling you racist, ignore them, because they don't know you. They don't know you. And you really don't know them. They might just be a very angry person, spewing more anger to rile up more hatred and anger amongst other people. When someone says to you, I know how this group thinks, whatever the other group might be, take pause and say, maybe for me, it's more important about finding one-on-one relationships where I talk to people and find out where they're coming from. I hate talking heads. I hate the right-wing talking heads. I hate the left-wing talking heads. And the reason that I hate talking heads is because it's about sound bites, as opposed to telling the whole truth of a situation. So this is me reaching out to you and saying, you want to not be seen as racist? You probably have a ton of people around you that would never have labeled you with that word, that know you. For the people that don't know you, that are just walking down the street but they seem different from you, I doubt seriously that the majority of them look at you and say, oh my God, she's white, therefore she's racist. So feel secure in knowing that you can just be you. You can sit down with anyone that's different from you. And when you're having a dialogue with someone different from you that's interested in having a dialogue, they're not going to suddenly just scream and label you something that you're not. You have nothing to prove. You don't have to prove who you are. Just be who you are. What I've seen so far, I think you're a pretty cool person. And I hope that you see that this is not a diatribe to beat you up or to say you shouldn't. But I hope that you and anyone else that watches this would see it's worthwhile to maybe start a dialogue with someone that doesn't necessarily look the same, doesn't necessarily think the same, doesn't necessarily have the same religion, and that can be okay, because that's where I come from. I'm okay with people being different from me, and I want to meet the good people on this earth, and anybody else that's stirring up anger or hatred or fear, if they don't want to talk, then I leave them alone. Anyway, I hope you have a very good day.